So guys, this pattern I am drafting right now is for both the back pattern and it's going to be for the front pattern. I'll go ahead and mark the length of the dress. If you don't have a pattern paper, please don't be discouraged. Just go ahead and fold your fabric into two and then mark the length of your dress. That is how long you want your dress to be. But before you go in with your scissors to cut on your fabric, make sure you cross-check measurements and make sure that everything is well before you go ahead and cut. Now from the edge of the pattern, I'll be marking in 1 inch allowance. This is for the button plackets. So because I want this to be in bits that step by step, so the beginners will be able to understand, that is why I'm making it like this. So I'm taking 1 inch first. I'll rule a straight line here to indicate that this is the first 1 inch I am taking, the first 1 inch allowance for the plackets. Now I'll go ahead and take another 1 inch after the first 1 inch. So now in total I have 2 inches allowance. So I'll be using a blue marker to rule this line, so you guys know that this is another 1 inch allowance, which is different from the first 1 inch allowance I took. Now I'll be taking another 1 inch allowance after this 2 inch. So now I'll go ahead and place the my tape and take another 1 inch allowance. I'll be using a red marker for this. Now you know that in total, the total allowance I took for the button placket is 3 inches. So go ahead and take 3 inches allowance. If you don't want to go through this process of marking 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 inch, you can take your 3 inches from the edge of your pattern or your fabric. Just go ahead and take 3 inches allowance. But be sure to remember that this is for your button placket and you'll be folding it in. So now I have 3 inches. Let me just go ahead and label this 1 inch. Now from the top of the pattern, I'll be marking my shoulder. My shoulder is 15 inches. 15 inches divided by 2 gives you 7.5. But I'll be marking 8. So I added half an inch to the shoulder measurement. So go ahead and add half an inch allowance. So from that point, I'll go down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. I'll connect the slope to the neckline. Now from the shoulder slope, I'll be going down by 8.5 inches for the armhole. So my round armhole is 16 inches divided by 2 gives you 8, but I added half an inch to that, so go ahead and add half an inch, and then I'll connect the slope to the armhole point with a straight line, and I'll also rule another line from there, which is an horizontal line. This is where the armhole curve will be sitting. So if you're a beginner, just follow the process step by step. Now from the top of the pattern, not on the shoulder line, I'll go ahead and mark bust points. So I'll go ahead now and mark the hip point. If you want your shirt dress to have shape, you go ahead and mark your waist point after your bust point. But because this shirt dress I'm making is straight to the point, like it doesn't have shape, it's not going to have shape, I'm not including my I'm not including the waist point. So I just went ahead to mark my hip point, and that is it. No waist point. So go ahead and mark your waist point if you want it to have shape. Now I'll divide the round bust by 4. And then I'll connect the line to the armhole point. This is because I want to create my armhole curve. So now I'll find the middle points of the armhole. I'll mark the middle point, because from the middle point I'll be creating the curve to meet the bust line. Where the bust line is meeting the armhole, I'll create a curve there. Just go ahead and follow the step, you guys. It's pretty simple. Now I'll go ahead and divide my round hip by 4, and I'll mark that down. So go ahead and place the tape and know what your round hip is, divide that by 4 and mark that down. So I'll go ahead and connect the bust line to the hip line. And then I'll connect the hip line straight to the length. And that is it, guys. Just as when you make a wrap top, you take in 6 inches allowance or 7 inches allowance before you mark your measurement. That is the same way when you make a shirt dress. You just take your allowance for your button, and that is it. This is not the sewing allowance, this is for ease, just because this shirt dress is going to be free a lot. Like, I want it to be free. So I'll be marking in 1 inch ease allowance. And then I'll also go ahead and mark in the sewing allowance, which is going to be 1 inch. So if you don't want your shirt dress to be free, you want it to be a little bit tight, you don't need to add too much allowance. Just go ahead and add the allowance you feel like is going to give you the perfect result you want, and that is it. I'll go ahead and cut this pattern out before I work on the neckline. So I hope the beginners are getting this step. This is the easiest it can be. Now, because of the pattern is for both the back and for the front, I'll be marking the neck width. The neck width for both the front and the back is 3 inches. That's the wideness of the neck. So for the back pattern, the neck depth is 1 inch. So that is how deep the back will be. So I'll go ahead and mark in 1 inch, and then I'll connect this with a curve to meet the 3 inches neck width. So for the depth of the front piece, the front pattern is going to be 3 inches deep for the front. So I'll go ahead and mark 3 inches in, and then I'll connect this with a curve using a curve ruler. I'll be connecting it to the neck width. So now I'll go ahead and cut out the back neckline, because I'll be cutting out the back first. I'll be cutting out the back piece first before I cut out the front. So I'll cut out the back neckline, and you guys, that is it for the shirt dress pattern. When I want to cut out my back piece, I'll fold in the allowance, that's the blanket allowance, that's the 3 inches allowance I have in front. I'll fold that in, and then I'll place the pattern on my fabric and cut out the back. And then when I fold it out, I'll place it on the fabric and cut out the front. So you guys, stay tuned to see the sewing version. Put on your notification bell if you're not subscribed to this channel. Subscribe and then put on your notification bell, so when I upload the sewing version, you get it. And that is going to be very soon. That a day after this video goes up, the sewing version is coming up too. So thank you guys for watching. You're amazing and you're creative, and go do you, go create amazing dresses. I'll be seeing you guys on my next video.
Treat you better than your last by far. No matter what you do, can't nobody tell me shit about you. I really can't explain the things you do, but it makes me crazy over you. Yeah, I know that you don't need me. It's kinda sexy when I want it, but you tease me. You don't let them get inside of your head, cause you know when I leave, I'll be back to your bed.